Well, welcome to 2021. I don't know about you, but I am thrilled to start off the new year. I think we're all kind of at that point where we are ready for a new year. The realities are, however, a lot of the stuff that happened in 2020 is still with us. But we are going to take a new approach, a new outlook, a new perspective as we go into 2021. So, certainly, a lot of the violence that we saw in 2020 hasn't gone away, but this is an opportunity for us to take a new look, a new approach, maybe re energize how we begin to address it, so to speak. Joining me today to help us, oh, by the way, welcome to the Lynne Hayes Freeland Show. We're going to take a new approach to some of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years and how we as a community collectively begin to address it. How we get rid of some of the baggage, how we deal with our kids, and how we deal with our communities. Joining me today for that conversation, two individuals, two perspectives. Diane Powell joins us today. She's here representing Black Women for Positive Change, and Hvizdos is here on behalf of Blessed Be Educators. Ladies, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
So Diane, let me start with you because give our listeners some perspective, some idea who Black Women for Positive Change are and how the idea came about.
Well, Black Women for Positive Change has pretty much been on the scene here in Pittsburgh for the last 10 years. We're a part of a national volunteer network. We have chapters around the country. And our mission is basically twofold. We are really working to try to change the culture of violence in our country and to improve conditions, to advocate for policies that improve things for our working and middle class families. And we do that through advocacy by hosting workshops, educating the public, advocating for changes in legislation, and partnering with other organizations to advance the message of the importance of violence prevention.
And then, Marianne, I'm going to ask you to give us that same perspective on your organization, because before we talk about how these two organizations come together to deal with this issue, give us some background on Blessed Be Educators.
Well, Blessed Be Educators came into being July of 2016. We were founded by Pastor Joe Stump from Lincoln Place Church of the Nazarene, Pastor Denise Samuel from Whip Ministries, and myself. And the reason we brought this organization into being is we wanted to have some mechanism for uplifting teaching as a Christian ministry, a way to provide some type of recognition and support both for current and retired educators within a Christian setting through our sponsored programs. And some of our sponsored programs include educator forums or workshops. And over the past 3 years, we have addressed through these workshops some sensitive topics that would apply to educators, parents, grandparents, community at large. And then as a segue, we, Blessed Be Educators, intersected with Black Women for Positive Change and Homewood Community Ministries over lunch in February of 2019, as we were looking for common ground that to work together, for ways to work together.
So one of the things I said in my introduction is that we're at 2021. We're kind of at this crossroads now where I think that many of us, I think the communities in general, are kind of tired, kind of exasperated, and looking for new ideas, looking for new ways. And one of the things that you all are doing is 2 workshops coming up at the beginning of the year to address some of these things. The first one's coming up on January the 9th.
That's right. I approached Frances Jordan, one of our partners, who's the executive director of the Homewood Ministries, and Marianne of Blessed Be Educators. And together we kind of convened and tossed around various ideas on how we could be of support and host workshops that would be relevant and helpful to families. And doing so, the research suggested that there's an inordinate number of African American families that are living in poverty here in Pittsburgh. And at least 72% of those households are headed by single parents. So as we dialogued and brainstormed, we thought that we would focus on the impact of violence, particularly on children, and tried to come up with resources and techniques that would not only strengthen the family, but help them cope with the circumstances of poverty and violence in their communities.
And when we talk about the impact of violence, and Marianne, I'm going to bring this one to you. Sometimes we forget about our kids are forgotten. And the realities are, in this era, all of our kids are touched by violence in some way. It might be in school, it might be on the way to school, it might be in the home. And if we as the adults in the community don't deal with it, it's going to be held inside, it's going to fester in there, and it's going to come out in some way.
No, I would agree with you. I am a retired early childhood educator.
Mm-hmm.
And in thinking through for tonight's program, I was thinking about violence during my career as an early childhood educator. And really, the most pressing issues we saw in early childhood education was perhaps a few families that had protection from abuse, PFAs. And therefore, within the daycare early childhood setting, we would have to be concerned that a father would not show up, try to take a child, etc. So where I'm going with this is I thought, my gracious, from the viewpoint of educators, the stressors that children were under 1 and 2 generations ago were really minimal compared to the stressors today.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we know that there's an uptick in family violence because of the pandemic and the children being home, because of parents perhaps have lost their jobs. So to me, it's very scary. Who is monitoring these children? Who has any type of a handle on what they might be experiencing in the home?
Mm-hmm.
And even in the community in general, because we don't have that safety net of going to school every day.
Absolutely. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this event on the 9th. And it's also eligible for those continuing education credits, which I think is awesome. So we'll tell folks about that, and then we'll move ahead to the next one. All of this when we come back on the Lynne Hayes Freeland Show, so don't go away.